Today I'll show you how to set up a typography system in Figma in a way that highly improves your collaboration with developers, human and AI. And why should you consider that? Because I believe you want a shared system for you and developers. You want to have a way of communicating using natural language and seeing your requests translated as a set of scoped options. And speaking of options, lesser options but more intentional ones, you want everyone on the same page, so we would be using the same structure, the same hierarchy, we would be naming things the same way. Also, we divide to scale in the sense that we have very specific typography domains and clear options within each one of them. Finally, you want to handle exceptions because there are things that are not properly covered by Figma variables yet, and for that you need to find a proper way of communicating with developers. So, I start the process by designing a few mockups. So once you have like 3, 4, 5 UIs, then it's possible to understand the kind of typography needs of your project. And what you do next is to copy and paste all the different definitions that you have in the mockup. Because what you want in the end is something like this: headings, then body, and then CTAs. Then once you have all of those patterns copied and pasted to this frame, then it's time to expand the scale. Also, the same goes for body and CTAs. And usually you'll notice things look better once you have the same body and CTA sizing. So that's what I did for this project. I think it looks more consistent, so I don't think we need to expand these options that much. Then after you find the font family, you find the font sizes, then you need to think about the line height because it's highly related to font size. And for headings, I don't think you should have a lot of lines, which is different here because with body content you might have multiple lines, and for that you want to have more space between lines because the more lines you have, the larger the space between them needs to be, so things look more balanced. But for short content, it's a bit different because in that case you would have a couple of lines and then you don't need to space them that much. And you'll notice that we have emphasis. This is for things that you want to highlight in the body content or maybe UI labels, things that need a little bit of emphasis. And the same goes for all the different sizes that we have. For CTAs is a bit different because you won't have multiple lines CTAs, so you only need to be concerned about a standard line height. And I think we are in a good place to start thinking about variables. If we check this text primitive collection, we have body, CTAs and headings. The same goes for weights. And notice that distinction that I mentioned before, standard, but we might have the emphasis situation. But for CTAs and headings it's a bit different. It's kind of a standard because I don't think it's very common that you would be defining the different font weights across different font sizes, so it tends to be always the same. And line height, we have that distinction. Is it a long or short content? But for CTAs and headings, it all follows the same definition. So we have text styles that will help us group these typography decisions. We organize this as body, CTAs and headings. And within each one of them, you'll notice this first, second, third, and so on. This is for communicating the importance of that piece of text, in the sense that we have first importance body content. The same goes for CTAs and for headings. But you'll notice also that we have that distinction for text body. Sometimes we have long or short content and maybe we want to emphasize something. And if I open any one of these, you'll notice that everything is referencing a variable. And regarding text styles, that's it. I just need to revisit the variables one more time, because once you have the text styles, you kind of limit people to work with them. So what we do here, I just deactivate them with this, okay, so they're no longer visible. Every time someone adds some content, the preferred way of doing that is with text styles. You'll notice how easy this is because we have that same hierarchy, all the body options, CTAs, headings. And the good thing is that I could be easily filtering this. So let's say that I have a heading 5th importance. This is very fast. I think it's faster than scrolling down this list here. And of course, something that I forgot to mention, if I want to again add some content here and then I want to make it uppercase, we don't have a way of coding this as variables. So that's why we have these CSS property nodes here. If we want to make it uppercase, then I would put the corresponding CSS property, and then this would be a node that any developer would understand, being human or AI. But of course that's not the case here, but just to demonstrate how we would handle this kind of situation. Since we started this whole exercise with a mobile view, I'm going to call it SM, meaning small, because in the future I want to expand this and include more viewports, more breakpoint. And in that sense, I could be adding more modes here. So let's say I have medium, I have large, and then I want to change some font size definitions for headings, for example. And then the very last thing is to revisit your concepts, and then you would be applying all your new text styles because you want to make sure that things work in a real mockup. And the best way of doing this is just by applying the text styles to the actual UI. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it, because at this point we now have a shared system. Of course, we still need to integrate this into the code base, but that's something that I'm going to show you in the next video. And also to use natural language to make requests like this and see them translated into specific typography tokens. So we have now lesser choices, but at the same time they have great coverage. We have also built a good way of staying on the same page. Even the way we name things, it's highly optimized to be aligned with the way developers structure these kind of design decisions in the code base. If I turn the dev mode on, things are very optimized for developers. So notice that all the variables that were used to build that specific group. We now also kind of divided things to scale, clear typography domains, and of course very clear options within each one of them. And finally, I showed you a very effective way of communicating things that are not properly covered by Figma variables, and sometimes we have a lot of noise. And that's why CSS properties are highly effective at communicating these kind of things. So that's all I have for today, and stay tuned because in the second video I'm going to show you how we use Cloud Code to integrate this into an actual code base. So stay tuned. Bye.